Yes guys, and welcome back guys to a brand new video guys on my channel guys. And yes guys, it's 7 games in one video guys. You guys will be asking me, Brett, why the hell are you doing 7 games in one analysis video? As I explained in my last video, I was in the UK, could not film those sort of videos unfortunately, when I was just completely moving around far too much. I'm just finding the time now to film this video. But not only just that guys, we're also going to be talking about Cristiano Ronaldo's departure, and also the Glazers are selling the club finally as well. The first thing I want to get into is Ronaldo's interview that he did obviously a good couple of weeks ago now, which pretty much got him in trouble really. Obviously, firstly, we are going to be talking about this Ronaldo interview. I'm not going to be going into depth of what he was talking about, and obviously we knew what he was going to be talking about in this interview with Piers Morgan as well. So obviously Ronaldo said to Piers Morgan it was the right time to come out and say some stuff about the club, and obviously about him trying to leave the club and stuff like that, and the way how they treated him at the club as well. So firstly, I think Ronaldo doing this whole interview in a whole it was a bit of a tosser of doing this interview. You don't do that, unfortunately. It's in your contract. You've been told not to breach your contract, and in that contract it will say that you're not allowed to do any other interviews. And he's breached his contract. He won't get you 16 million a year this year, and he's only got himself but to blame for that, unfortunately. Obviously, it's not nice for him to go like that, but it's obviously it's like a divorce in a relationship, to be honest. But Ronaldo, he made his points clear. He criticised the club. The club didn't like the comments that were made. Obviously, as a fan perspective, I think fans would have been saying, well, thank you for speaking out about the Glazers, and you're partly the reason why the Glazers are selling up the club, because nothing's changed, and the structure and the way how the club's been ran has been a joke, obviously, over all these last years, and that's why the Glazers are now finally selling the club. But it won't be completely sold in January in 2023. It's going to be sold later down into 2023. So we'll be all celebrating in 2023 when it's been sold, but not to yet, unfortunately. But obviously, going back to Ronaldo's interview, he criticised the club. But not only just that, he criticised the managers as well. And the managers that he criticised were obviously Erik ten Hag and Ralf Rangnick. Obviously, he said that Erik ten Hag disrespected him. I think it's unacceptable to say, to be honest. You don't criticise the managers. Obviously, the managers are going to, I don't think they'll be hurt by the comments, but I think as managers, they have to listen to it. And at the end of the day, he's got himself into big trouble, and obviously Erik ten Hag, it won't really affect him. Obviously, the comments he made about Ralf Rangnick saying that he's a sporting director, he'd never heard of him before, it's true. You're not even a coach, which he said, but it's still unacceptable to say. So it's unfortunate for this to happen, unfortunately, with Ronaldo and Manchester United. I've always looked up to Cristiano Ronaldo. I've been a big fan of his for so many years, since his first spell at Manchester United, and for it to end like this, it's not nice, unfortunately. It's like a divorce in a relationship. But this season, though, he hadn't been at his best anyway. He'd only scored 3 goals this season against Sheriff, Onnomia and Everton. But all you have to say is, as a perspective, is thank you, Ronaldo, for the great memories. You've done everything on and off the field for Manchester United. You came in when you were about 17, 18 years old in your first spell, came back to help Manchester United to win trophies, but it didn't happen. But obviously with 196 appearances, and then obviously in his first spell from 2003 to 2009 with 84 goals and 40 appearances, and obviously in his second spell from 2021 to 2022 with 19 goals. Overall, he had 236 appearances for Manchester United with 103 goals to his name. Obviously, he made history as well by scoring his 700th goal as well with Manchester United, which is nice to celebrate that as well. So yeah, it's a shame the way how it ended, but obviously the way how Eric Ten Hag dealt with that situation with Tottenham as well. I think he dealt with that really well. He got a fine, a week's wages, and he sat out for the Chelsea game, so he got what he deserved for that anyway, for walking off. But unfortunately, just like that, he's gone. Such a shame. It's such a shame it ended like this, but it's for the best. But it's for the best for both parties. Thanks for the memories that you created with Manchester United, and all the best for the future, Cristiano Ronaldo. And thank you for what you've done for the club, and all the best for the remaining of your career. You've not got long left, unfortunately. The Glazers are finally selling up, which is great news. They announced Ronaldo's departure, and then literally an hour later they just announced that the Glazers are finally selling the club after so many years. I don't know how many years they've been United's owners, but it's about time. As soon as the comments were made about Ronaldo made towards the owners, it was time to sell up. They are selling up now. Some companies have coming in for Manchester United: Dubai, Saudis, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Apple as well. Some big ones there to take over Manchester United. We'll just have to sit back and see what happens and who's the new owners, but it's about time we're selling. It's about time a better structure at the club. Things have obviously got to change behind the scenes, not only just at Carrington but also Old Trafford needs to be refurbished now as well. It's about time some owners put some money into the club. Let's build how we should be a football club at the end of the day, and not run by clowns that are just businessmen that don't know anything about football. Anyway guys, getting into the first game of the 7 games, obviously Manchester United went and played Everton away from home. We made 4 changes from the last game against Man City. So talking about the start 11, so we started with De Gea, Delo, Lindelof, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Eriksen, Anthony, Fernandes, Rashford and Martial. What did I make of the performance? I thought bad start for the first 5 minutes. Should have been a foul on Casemiro, but at the end of the day, game was played on. Everton went 1-0 up, which was a terrible bad start for Manchester United, but I thought we recovered really well. High line, high intensity, high tempo and energy. We controlled it better and dominated the game and sort of took over the game a lot more than. Anthony got us back level for 1-1. Obviously Martial went off injured half an hour into the game. Ronaldo, you could just see, was really up for this game when he came on as a substitution. Ronaldo comes on and made an impact. Brilliant pass by Casemiro, and Ronaldo scores his 700th career goal for 2-1. United in the second half, it was a good start, controlled it. Everton had more possession, created some good chances, defence was solid, didn't make a mistake. Rashford's scored a goal which should have been 3-1. I think VAR had a stinker. Unbelievable by VAR. Everton threw everything at it the last sort of 15 minutes of the game. It was squeaky bum time. We managed to hang on and got the win, which was a vital win for Manchester United against Everton. Not been doing so great this season so far. Who's man of the match in this game? I thought it was Casemiro. He made up for his mistake. Getting into the goals now. First goal, Bruno wins the ball back, passes the ball to Martial. Martial saw Anthony. Anthony makes the run, passed the ball to Anthony, and Anthony scores for 1-1. The second goal now, Casemiro intercepts and wins the ball back off of Iwobi. Casemiro puts a great ball into Ronaldo. Ronaldo picks his spot and scores for 2-1. Getting into the stats now. Possession for Everton, it was 39.7%, and for Man United it was 60.3%. Goals for Everton, it was 1, and for Man United it was 2. Total shots for Everton, it was 11, and for Man United it was 12. Shots on target for Everton, it was 2, and for Man United it was 4. Shot accuracy for Everton, it was 18.2, and for Man United it was 33.3%. Shots inside the box for Everton, it was 7, and for Man United it was 5. Shots outside the box for Everton, it was 4, and for Man United it was 7. Total passes for Everton, it was 375 passes. For Man United it was 609 passes. The pass accuracy for Everton, it was 78.7%, and for Man United it was 83.7%. Getting to the substitutions now. Martial went off for Ronaldo. Talk about Anthony's performance. Assisted Anthony to make it 1-1, but his fitness was an issue before kick-off and he did not last half an hour. Eriksen went off for McTominay. Talk about Christian's performance. An improvement on recent performance, although Everton were curiously standoffish against the Dane, who was the glue in several United attacks. Anthony went off for Varane. Talk about Anthony's performance, his best performance in a United shirt. Took his goal superbly and was more direct with his play, quieter in the second half. Getting to the second game now, which was Manchester United versus Newcastle. We made 3 changes from the last game against Everton. Talking about the start 11, so he started with De Gea, Delo, Varane, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Fred, Anthony, Bruno, Sancho and Ronaldo. Manchester United were frustrated yet again in this game. This was the second game in a row where we got frustrated, but what did I make of the performance? I thought the first half was poor. We needed to see an improvement. Fred was getting bullied in the midfield. There was not much in the game. We needed to up the tempo and intensity. There was a lack of creativity at times. Didn't test the goalkeeper much. United controlled and dominated. The second half, Newcastle were tied after 60 minutes. Both teams kept it tight and compact. United had the better chances. Fred had a massive chance. Fred at the end also did not do enough to win. I expected a draw. It was a fair result and disappointing. I felt like it was also a missed opportunity as well. We should have had a penalty and poor officiating from the referee. Getting into the stats now. Possession for Man United, it was bang on 63%, and for Newcastle it was bang on 37%. Goals for Man United, it was 0. For Newcastle it was 0. Total shots for Man United it was 15, and for Newcastle it was 9. Shot accuracy for Man United it was 2, and for Newcastle it was 2. Shot accuracy for Man United it was 13.3%, and for Newcastle it was 22.2%. Shots inside the box for Man United it was 7, and for Newcastle it was 6. Shots outside the box for Man United it was 8, and for Newcastle it was 3. Total passes for Man United it was 512 passes, and for Newcastle it was 301 passes. Pass accuracy for Man United it was 81.1%, and for Newcastle it was 72.1%. Getting into the substitutions now. Ronaldo went off for Rashford. Talk about Cristiano's performance. Dropped too deep too often, possibly to ensure he was not flagged offside. Had 2 goals disallowed, one possibly the obvious. Getting to the third game now against Manchester United versus Tottenham. Made one change from the last game against Newcastle. So talking about the starting 11. So it started with De Gea, Delo, Varane, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Fred, Anthony, Bruno, Sancho and Rashford. For me, I think this was the best performance so far this season. Why was that? What did I make of the performance? I thought I was satisfied with the first half. We played some good stuff. Tottenham had struggled, were too defensive. United had controlled the half. Just needed to score the goal. United created loads of great chances to take the lead, and the race was saving Tottenham. They were there for the taking, just needed to take our chances. Tottenham were vulnerable, making far too many mistakes. United started quick on the front foot in the second half to put them under pressure. High intensity, high tempo, and play with energy. Great goal by Fred for 1-0. United kept it tight and compact. Defensively, we were fantastic. Kept Tottenham at bay. United controlled and dominated the game. United were organised. Tottenham had a few decent chances. De Gea made a big save from Kane. Bruno scores to make it 2-0. It was a game, set and match. Tottenham struggled and we played our best game, I think, in years. Who was my man of the match? I thought it was Fred. Getting into the goals now. First goal, Bruno passed the ball to Anthony. Anthony passed the ball to Sancho. Sancho passed the ball to Fred. Fred shoots, takes a deflection and scores for 1-0. Second goal, Anthony passed the ball to Bruno. Bruno loses possession, ricocheted off Romero. Fred controls it, sets up Bruno, and Bruno scores a beauty of a goal for 2-0. Getting into the stats now. For Man United it was 51.9%, and for Tottenham it was 48.1%. Goals for Man United it was 2, and for Tottenham it was 0. Total shots for Man United it was 28, and for Tottenham it was 9. Shots on target for Man United it was 10, and for Tottenham it was 2. Shot accuracy for Man United it was 35.7%, and for Tottenham it was 22.2%. Shots inside the box for Man United it was 13, and for Tottenham it was 7. Shots outside the box for Man United it was 15, and for Tottenham it was 2. Total passes for Man United it was 583 passes, and for Tottenham it was 528 passes. Pass accuracy for Man United it was 85.4%, and for Tottenham it was 84.3%. Getting to the substitutions now. Anthony went off for McTominay. Talk about Anthony's performance. His most crowd-pleasing and productive performance against attentive Tottenham defence. Unsettled Spurs with his imaginative play and hit the post. Sancho went off for, I think it was Elanga. Talk about Jadon's performance. Too quiet again in the first half, but had an early impact after the restart to tee up Fred for the breakthrough. Not involved enough. Casemiro went off at Ericsson. Talk about Casemiro's performance. He and Fred looked like a Brazilian standard midfield against Spurs trio. They dominated proactively, with Casemiro deeper and Fred the creator. Getting into the next game now, which was Chelsea versus Manchester United. Man United made one change from the last game against Tottenham. Talking about the starting 11, so we started with De Gea, Delo, Varane, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Anthony, Bruno, Ericsson, Sancho and Rashford. In this game, Casemiro rescues the last gasp point for Man United at Chelsea at the Bridge. What did I make of the performance? It was very dominant first half from us. Dominated in possession, dominated the midfield and looked really energetic, just nothing clinical in the final third yet again. It's frustrating because we should be winning the game, just need to start taking our chances. In the second half, tactical tweaks were made in the second half when Chelsea got hold of the midfield. Ten Hag reacted. It was very balanced and end-to-end. Chelsea created some good chances. United created some good chances but couldn't finish them. Kepa kept them in the game. United had more possession. Shame to see Varane get an injury. McTominay gives away a penalty. Chelsea scored to make it 1-0. Great reaction from the penalty. We should have won but deserved at least a point. A fair result. We should have won this game. I felt like yet again this was another missed opportunity. Again, I think we've dropped far too many points in these sort of games as well, to be honest, and one of them was Chelsea and also Newcastle. Getting into the goals now. First goal Delo with a throw in. Chelsea clear it. Anthony heads it. Chelsea clear it again. Fred passed the ball to Shaw. Shaw puts on a great cross and Casemiro heads it in for 1-1. Possession for Chelsea was 47.9%. For Man United it was 52.1%. Goals for Chelsea it was 1, and for Man United it was 1. Total shots for Chelsea it was 6, and for Man United it was 13. Shots on target for Chelsea it was 2, for Man United it was 6. Shot accuracy for Chelsea it was 33.3%, and for Man United it was 46.2%. Shots inside the box for Chelsea it was 4, and for Man United it was 6. Shots outside the box for Chelsea it was 2, for Man United it was 7. Total passes for Chelsea it was 414 passes, and for Man United it was 464 passes. Pass accuracy for Chelsea, it was bang on 78%, and for Man United it was 77.6%. Getting into the substitutions now. Sancho went off for Fred. Talk about Jaden's performance. Fortunate to start, and like in midweek, he was the weakest link. Substituted 4 minutes into the second half, and his last action was to play the ball out. Varane went off for Lindelof. Talk about Raphael's performance. Defended near faultlessly and slid in to make a vital interception in the first half. Fortunately for Varane, he was forced off injured and appeared to be in tears. Eriksen went off. McTominay talking about Christian's performance. His recall highlighted his importance, and United were dominant with the Dane and Eriksen before Graham Potter re-energised Chelsea with Mateo Kovacic's introduction. Rashford went off for Elanga. Talking about Marcus' performance. Struck tamely at Kepa, Arifa Balaga, and struck with some conviction to force another more agile stop. Still no goal through the middle. Getting into the fifth game now, which was Manchester United versus West Ham. We made 3 changes from the last game against Chelsea. Talking about the start 11, so we started with De Gea, Delo, Maguire, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Eriksen, Elanga, Fernandes, Rashford and Ronaldo. Obviously in this game, Rashford scored his 100th United goal, seals win against West Ham. What did I make of the performance? First half we were energetic on the front foot. We played with high intensity, high tempo. Rashford had a great opportunity inside the first 15 minutes. We stayed patient. Eriksen puts a great ball into Rashford, and Rashford scores on his headed chance for 1-0. We controlled and dominated the game. We should have had the game dead and buried in the first half. Second half, West Ham had a much better start and reacted well. They got the front foot, controlled the game and created chances. Ten Hag reacted, and United had more possession and better control. United created chances that should have won us the game. West Ham were coming out as aggressive, high intensity, high tempo and energy. West Ham created chances. United sat back deep and were holding onto a 1-0 lead. De Gea made some great saves to keep us in the game. West Ham were really pushing at the end, but United defensively were rock solid and won the game. Who was my man of the match? I thought it was Rashford and De Gea. Getting into the goals now. Delo's throw into Eriksen. Eriksen passed the ball to Bruno. Bruno headed it back to Eriksen. Great cross by Eriksen, and Rashford heads it in for 1-0. Getting into the stats now. For Man United it was 53%, and for West Ham it was 47%. Goals for Man United it was 1, and for West Ham it was 0. Total shots for Man United it was 16, for West Ham it was 13. Cross on target for Man United it was 3, and for West Ham it was 5. Shot accuracy for Man United it was 18.8%, and for West Ham it was 38.5%. Shots inside the box for Man United it was 11, and for West Ham it was 4. Shots outside the box for Man United it was 5, and for West Ham it was 9. Total passes for Man United it was 490 passes, and for West Ham it was 412 passes. Pass accuracy for Man United it was 82.7%, and for West Ham it was 82.8%. Into the substitutions now. Elanga went off of McTominay. Talk about Anthony's performance. A first start since September the 1st. At the expense of an injured Anthony, and Elanga was harmless. Looked like someone without a United goal since February. Eriksen went off for Fred. Talk about Christian's performance. Eriksen was always going to be a key in a low scoring fixture in recent years, and he worked the breakthrough beautifully to a cross for Marcus Rashford. Getting into the 6th game now, which was Aston Villa versus Manchester United. We made 3 changes from last game against West Ham. Talking about the start 11, so we started with De Gea, Delo, Lindelof, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Eriksen, Rashford, Van der Beek, Garnacho and Ronaldo. This was Manchester United's first loss in like 10 or 12 games. Obviously, Villa stunned Man United to win in Emery's first game. Obviously, we should have known that this was a new manager bounce, and these players should have reacted right away what was going to happen in this game. And we got what we deserved. We got our pants pulled down, and yet again, we were rubbish in this game. Absolutely, in fact. And we just did not expect it, and we should have expected it, and we didn't. A bad start. We were 2-0 down after 12 minutes. The players should have expected that to happen. At least we didn't capitulate. We got some stability back and created a few good chances. Got a goal back at half time when it was a slow and subdued performance in the first half. Then it was all about the next goal in the second half, but Villa then scored a third goal and it was finished. We were ball watching. We were just not doing our job. We were just not showing that desire to close them down. I just don't know what the hell was wrong with us that day. It just looked like we were just not ready and just not at the races. It was an awful performance by players. Should have expected it from the start. With a new manager in, players fighting for the places at home and had nothing to lose. The second half was even worse. No energy, no creativity. The substitutions did nothing. It was embarrassing. It was awful. Getting to the goals now. First goal, Casemiro passed the ball to Ronaldo. Ronaldo passed the ball to Delo. Delo crossed the ball into the box. Donny heads it. Villa clear it. Shaw controls it and shoots and takes a deflection for 2-1. Into the stats now. Possession for Villa, it was 58.2%, and for Man United, it was 41.8%. Goals for Villa, it was 3, and for Man United, it was 1. Total shots for Villa, it was 6, and for Man United, it was 8. Shots on target for Villa, it was 4, and for Man United, it was 3. Shot accuracy for Villa, it was 66.7%, and for Man United, it was 37.5%. Shots inside the box for Villa, it was 2, and for Man United, it was 5. Shots outside the box for Villa, it was 3, and for Man United, it was 4. Total passes for Villa, it was 401 passes, and for Man United, it was 543 passes. Pass accuracy for Villa, it was 83.5%, and for Man United it was 85.3%. Getting to the substitutions now, Shaw went off from last year. Talk about Luke's performance. Conceded the free kick. Luka Dean scored from Alabert via a loose pass. United got on the score sheet with a deflected shot, but on an off day. Garnacho went off for Elanga. Talk about Alejandro's performance. United's best forward. Garnacho drew a decent stop from Emilio Martinez to signal a momentum shift that got United back into the game. Van der Beek went off for Martial. Talk about Donny's performance. Eric Ten Hag is perhaps the only manager on the planet who would have started Van der Beek on his first meaningful United Premier League start in 701 days. He was anonymous, and he definitely was. Getting into the last and final game now, it was Fulham versus Manchester United. We made 4 changes from the last game against Aston Villa. Talking about start 11, so we started with De Gea, Palacio, Lindelof, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Eriksen, Elanga, Fernandes, Rashford and Martial. So in this game, Garnacho wins it in stoppage time for Man United, which was brilliant. What did I make of the performance? First 10 minutes wasn't great. Great tackle by Casemiro and a good finish by Eriksen to give the lead. Right side is a concern. Elanga isn't coming back to help Malacia. Fulham had controlled the game, created some good chances, and luckily De Gea has come to the rescue. Needed to be better in the second half and kill the game off with a second goal. In the second half, Fulham were much better than us for the large parts of the game. Fulham had played with high intensity, high tempo, created lots of chances. De Gea kept us in the game. Fulham were coming at us left, right and centre, and Fulham equalised for 1-1. Decision making let us down, and Bruno should have let the ball go out for a throw-in to their goal, which led to a goal, made it 1-1. We needed more control in the midfield to bring on either Fred or McTominay. Fulham controlled and dominated the game, but United defensively were okay. De Gea was the man that kept United going. On the last kick of the game, Garnacho scores to make it 2-1, which gave United the win, and the tactics in this game were just dreadful. Hey, how we could have gone about that game, we could have done it differently, and we wouldn't have suffered a bad performance like that, to be honest. But getting into the goals now, first goal, great tackle by Casemiro, pass the ball to Eriksen, Eriksen pass the ball to Martial, Martial runs, pass the ball to Bruno, Bruno puts a great ball into Eriksen, into Eriksen's channel, and Eriksen scores for 1-0. Second goal, Casemiro pass the ball to Eriksen, Eriksen pass the ball to Garnacho, Garnacho runs, pass the ball to Eriksen, Eriksen plays Garnacho, and Garnacho slots it in for 2-1, so it was a great 1-2 between Eriksen and Garnacho. Getting into the stats now, possession for Fulham, it was 52.7%, for Man United it was 47.3%, goals for Fulham it was 1, and for Man United it was 2, total shots for Fulham it was 14, and for Man United it was 14, shot accuracy for Fulham it was 7, for Man United it was 9, shot accuracy for Fulham it was bang on 50%, and for Man United it was 64.3%, shots inside the box for Fulham it was 10, and for Man United it was 10, shots inside the box for Fulham it was 4, for Man United it it was 4. Total passes for Fulham, it was 461 passes, and for Man United, it was 433 passes. The pass accuracy for Fulham, it was 79.4%, and for Man United, it was also 79.4%. Getting into the substitutions now, Elanga went off for McTominay. Talk about Anthony's performance. Possibly selected to defend more than attack, as Malacia was behind him and showed no conviction with the chance he had early in the second half. Came off shortly thereafter. Martial went off for Garnacho. Talk about Anthony's performance. As effective as he has been in a handful of appearances, there is scant evidence Martial is dependable front man, and he was wasted presentable chances. Next up, we've got Nottingham Forest. Obviously, Forest are 18th in the table. This will be Manchester United's first game back in the Premier League on Boxing Day. But what do we expect from this Nottingham Forest side? I think you're going to expect a great game against these lot. They're going to be fighting for their lives. They know that they're in the relegation zone, and they know that they need to get the 3 points here, Forest. I think they know it's going to be a tough place to go to Old Trafford and get the 3 points. But one good thing about this game is that Dean Henderson's not going to be playing. We probably needed him to play as well, considering that he's been the one that's conceded all the goals for them so far. Forest, though, they're very inconsistent. It'll be their FA Cup final. They'll give it everything that they've got. They'll try and keep it tight and compact. They'll be organised. They'll play with a low block. They'll look to counter-attack us. When they get moments, they'll look to take them. Defensively, they're vulnerable, so we just have to be at them from minute 1 to minute 90. They'll give us a physical game as well. United need to have a good start, control and dominate the game. Play with aggression, be ruthless, be relentless. Play with a high intensity, high tempo. Play with energy, make runs in from behind, get in between the lines. Defensively, keep it tight and compact. Be organised, don't make any mistakes. Game management will be key in a game like this, and decision making will be key in a game like this. And we need to also play with courage, intent and conviction, and we need to turn up to this game as well against Forest. Against Forest, we need to prepare well for this game. I think Forest, they know that this is going to be their game of their lives. They're fighting for relegation at the moment as well. They know that they're in bad form, and obviously this will be their first game back in after the World Cup break as well, and this will be our second game as well. This is a game for Manchester United. We don't want to underestimate Forest. They are a decent team. They have beaten West Ham, so they're not that bad, Forest, on their day. But we've got to turn up to this game against Forest. We have to mentally get it right up here, and we have to get the mindset right. You know it's going to be a physical game. They're not like Leeds where they're going to pull you around, push you around, but they're going to just keep their shape. So when they're keeping their shape in and out of possession, it's just down to us of we've got to be aggressive, be on the front foot, create our chances, and we have to be able to be clinical and take our chances in front of goal as well. So if we can do that against this great side in Forest, we can beat this side. Forest are only conceding 0.7 goals per game. Forest are conceding 2 goals per game. And Forest have the second worst defence in the league as well. You know, if they have the second worst defence in the league, this defence of theirs is so vulnerable. It's so fragile at the back. You've got to go and attack it as much as you can. Be aggressive, be ruthless with them. Go and push them around and pull them around. They'll hate it. They're not used to this Premier League intensity. They're not really used to it. They're struggling. They're huffing and puffing, and they're running out of ideas. Go and give them a game. Don't sit back in this game. This is a game that we have to go and pick up the 3 points. It's a must-win game as well. We have to win this game against Forest. Forest have won 3, drawn 4 and lost 8. They've lost at Newcastle 2-0, Tottenham 2-0, City 6-0. That's what I'm saying. Bournemouth 3-2, Fulham 3-2, Leicester 4-0. Wolves 1-0 and Arsenal 5-0. They've got defeated heavily twice, 6 and then 5-0. If they've been conceding 11 goals like that, you know you've got to show that aggression from minute 1 to minute 90 and show that ruthlessness about us as well. And that's what we've got to show in this game as well. Players to look out for is Hennessy, Cook, Worrell, Williams, Toffolo, Aurier, McKenna, Richards, Bolly, Lodin, Mangala, Colback, Gibbs-White, Lingard, O'Brien, Kouyaté, Yates, Frailer, Ayuwoni, Surridge, Johnson and Dennis. If you guys have enjoyed another video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and I'll see you guys in a video in the next couple of days, and peace.